Shut up and sit down.
And good evening, all of you bcwrestlepod fans. Thank you for joining us for another of our weekly Bi-Conic Review of Honor, or BROH, if you will. Please do not adjust your streaming service. I know it looks a little bit different tonight, but we have colleagues who are out doing wonderful things in their lives, and we fully support them, the ability to do those things. My name is Jesse. I'm here with our illustrious leader, Mikey. Mikey, say hello to all the good people out there.
Hello to all the good people out there.
And we are here to celebrate and talk about another weekly Ring of Honor that I was pretty happy with. I thought it was another solid Ring of Honor. Last week's was good. This week's was pretty good. I mean, there was some foibles, some things I didn't like, but overall, I had a good time. What about you, Mikey?
I thoroughly enjoyed this week's Ring of Honor. I also appreciated that we kept it under 2 hours, which is a good thing for me and for everybody else who ends up watching these pretty late.
It was under 2 hours. It was close, but it moved, and I really enjoyed that. It wasn't, I wasn't going to the point of, how much longer is this program? It rolled right along. We had good variety in the matches, good variety in the segments between the matches. So I enjoyed it. Do we want to jump right in and talk about what we started with, which was a Athena and Mercedes recap? I thought it was well done.
I loved it too. Oh, wait, hold up. Jesse, I think we're getting a phone call from John here.
Oh, yeah. Well, I thought he was busy, so let's see. You getting a FaceTime from him?
Yep. Give me 1 sec.
All right.
Hello?
Hey, Mikey and folks there. Sorry I couldn't be there for the recording right now, but I'll give you my ROH stuff right out about. Nothing else is going on. I'm good. So,
Hun, we're at the theater. Turn off your phone.
Sorry.
I think he's in trouble.
Yeah, that sounded like he's in trouble. Well, don't take the risk when you have to make sure that your partner's happy as well. That's a nice PSA from here at the BC WrestlePod. All right, jumping back in, we had that lovely recap to start. I thought it was done very well. Really not any kind of bad things about it. I wasn't thrilled with the build-up. I know I mentioned that a few weeks ago because it didn't seem like one. But the recap was nice, and it felt like it had a higher production level than a lot of the more recent recaps have. What do you think?
I would hope so, given the fact that was your main event match. It was the main event, so you kind of have to give a little bit more. What I also appreciated is that right after this recap, we just jumped straight into what originally was just a digital exclusive on the social medias, but we had an emergency meme number 1, because there was a second one later tonight, where Athena kind of is just like, you're off suspension, you're going to have to prove to me, Billy, that you got this. So we're going to try this again. You have been unsuspended from Minion in training.
Yeah, and then we get another suspension later in the night, which is interesting about that. I know, I was a little heartbroken too. I loved this. I love the segment. I'm having so much fun with the story. I want to keep going with the story. I want to see where it takes us, and hopefully it's not one thing that they're going to have a blow up very soon, because this needs the time to organically grow, and I think it will if they keep performing like this, because I enjoyed this. I had fun with this.
Oh, absolutely. And, we could just jump straight into it, because I really enjoyed this first match for what it was. We had Tony Nese taking on Serpentico.
Hey, you know what? I would agree with you. I enjoyed what it was. I was looking very, very forward to the group training after the match, which unfortunately we didn't get. But again, it was just a good match. It was solid. It was well worked. There's really no bad thing I have to say. It didn't blow me away, but it served its purpose really well.
Oh, absolutely. Tony Nese continues to be a heel, which I appreciate. Serpentico is somehow winning me over as the underdog for Ring of Honor, which is really weird. To go from cannon fodder to me wanting to root for him as the underdog is great. And I actually like Ethan Page starting to show his craziness from his all ego days, like coming out, interrupting the match, and costing Tony Nese the win.
In that gym wear too, that definitely like late 80s, early 90s gym wear. I loved it. I was a very creative ending. I was here for it. It made me laugh. I would have liked this match to go a little bit longer. Now that I'm looking at my notes, there's one detractor I have, just because I know the two of them, Serpentico and Tony Nese, can work, and they can work well. I'd like to give it some more time, so hopefully this is just not a quick sidebar of the feud between Tony Nese and all ego, quarter ego, half ego, whatever, how many ego, Ethan Page. I'd like to see this develop as well, too. So after this, we go right into a segment that, for me, if the infantry did not come in, this was my bathroom break.
You know, I initially thought we were finally going to start separating the trio that was Lee Johnson, Darius Martin, and Action Andretti for them to go on and do different things. And we kind of got that. And then this week they're like, nope, Darius and Action, you're going to be thrown together back in a duo again. I'm like, But thankfully, the infantry saved this backstage segment.
The more I see the infantry, the more I like them. I know we have them later on tonight, but the more I see them, the more they get time backstage to show off their character work. I want to watch the more of them, especially I really like Carly Bravo. I think he's captivating, he's very entertaining, and he's just naturally funny in his phrasing and how he comes across on the mic. I'm a little tired, and I say this every week, of the Action Andretti, Dante Martin, whomever. It just feels like they're a security blanket. They have to be together no matter what, but I know they're good in-ring performance. Give them some time on their own. Go from that to a wonderful showing with the person who is carrying all of the titles in Ring of Honor right now, Athena, with Billy Stark coming out against, was a newcomer to me. Apparently they're from the local area, though, was Heidi Howitzer. Do you know much about Heidi?
No, this was actually my first introduction to her, and immediately I'm like, I'm a fan just from aesthetic alone. And then
I'll give you that.
And then the commentary won me over too, because they're like, oh yeah, Heidi has been wrestling in a tag team with Max and the Impaler. I'm like, sold, there we go, we're good to go.
Two names like that, yeah, we're good. We're good. I will say in this match, and in every one of Athena's matches, I will never get tired of her yelling in the ref's face saying, don't tell me what to do. That always gets me to smile. To me, it's fun. It's a fun moment with that.
I really enjoyed, because this is the typical, Heidi is a little bit taller than Athena, so obviously this was more of a powerhouse versus Athena. And of course, I love when Athena has to mix up everything in order to keep the aggression going, and my goodness, she did. That
haymaker at the end to finish the match. I turned away from my screen for a second. That was brutal to watch. The match, it was better than I expected it to be, with it, because it was set up very much with a formulaic Ring of Honor squash match. They had the big entrance for the champion challenger, didn't even have an entrance, they were already in the ring. But it delivered better than I expected it to. It was still your squash, but it was still your squash, but it wasn't your 3-second squash. It delivered better than I thought it was going to.
Agreed.
And then, speaking of delivering better than I thought it would, with the next match between Kyle Fletcher of Aussie Open and Lee Johnson. I like this matchup because it got Lee Johnson away from Lee Moriarty and Shane Taylor and everything else. They were in the back, but they weren't interfering with the match, which I really enjoyed there. And they put on some work. It was very slow in the beginning. There was a lot of stalling, but it built really well. And Kyle Fletcher is a very good worker. I get more impressed every time I see him. But we need to give some kudos to Lee Johnson, because that man can sell, and he can sell any move really well.
I say this all the time. I know he's currently involved with the Don Callis family over on Dynamite, but I have always said that him and his tag team partner, Mark, like, they were made for Ring of Honor. And so this, oh my goodness, this match was great. And again, Kyle Fletcher continues to prove, whether it's in tag team action or whether it's a singles match, the kid has a bright future. I'm like, is there anything you can't do at so young and of age and in career?
Now, his partner, Mark, they're injured, correct?
Yes, so Mark is out on injury because he broke his wrist in the middle of the match with FTR at Wrestle Dream. So it's going to be about, I believe they said 8 to 12 weeks.
Okay.
So we're probably not going to see him until the end of the year.
Which, you know what? I wish him a speedy recovery. I hope he comes back as soon as he's ready and he's safe. But I'm glad they're finding something to do with Kyle Fletcher. He's a good talent to not be wasted in this recovery time just waiting for the tag team to reform. So I'm very happy to see he's still there. We have another match that was another quick match. Had a better showing than I expected. And we have Charlotte Renegade versus legit Layla Hirsch.
Again, the Renegades are continuing to improve, which I love to see every week, to see where they started when Ring of Honor came back to where we are now. They have improved. But I mean, this was Layla's show. Like, of course, you want to continue to make Layla Hirsch look strong, and I didn't mind it.
I like the match. I like that we're getting more of the Renegades as singles because it's allowing them to show that they are improving. Because when I first watched them, I really liked them, but everyone else on here was like, no, they're terrible. They're so great. Okay, so jumped right on me, attacked me. That's fine. I can deal with that. But I liked watching them. I like seeing that they're improving every single week. They're getting cleaner. They're getting a little bit tighter, and they're moving faster. They're building that confidence, which is so important in the roles that they have. Rachel Ellering tonight with the save. She was definitely a little late coming out. I think she missed her cue because Charlotte had to kind of stall in getting the chair. And that was a little bit of a detractor for me. That kind of took me out of the match for a moment. But we knew the ending. We knew legit Layla Hirsch was going to win at some point. But I think the big story we want to talk about in this match here was the save there. And it's continuity, which we need to make sure that all of our promotions are having. Continuity developing into a bigger story. Again, something all the promotions should be doing. So I was thrilled to see this. Thrilled to see Rachel Ellering come out. Yeah, I know Mr. Q didn't look exactly as polished as I'd like it to be. But we're developing and continuing a story. So I was very, very happy with this.
It did seem like Rachel missed her cue, but while it didn't necessarily take me out, I did wonder. I was like, oh, I don't think that was supposed to happen, but all right then. And what I also love is not only do we get continuity from last week, but we continue to get continuity because we'll see later that Layla doesn't like to owe no debts to people.
Yeah, but you know what? That kind of follow through and the whole denouement around that, that's important to the story. So we need to keep that. We need to celebrate that. So I'm taking this as an absolute win. I was very happy with this one. Next, we go on to another wonderful promo with Lexi getting chewed out about the whole best friend nonsense with Willow Nightingale. And I felt so bad for Lexi, who is just fabulous and immaculate in every role that they put her in.
I was like, dang, Athena, Lexi got demoted. I was like, oh no. And she looked so sad for like the rest of the promo after she was told that she got demoted because of what happened with Willow.
She looked so sad the rest of the night.
That's fair. I also love that Lexi's like, they legally, I had to say it, like legit. That's what they told me to say.
That was good. That was a good kind of save for her. The only thing that frustrates me about this promo was Athena saying what was with all of that best friend stuff on Dynamite, referencing another non-Ring of Honor program. I know they're under the same umbrella company. If we're going to do that, because that's clearly the direction we're going, let's give Ring of Honor a little bit more time and a little, like, I don't know if time's the best thing, but a little more adulation while we're talking about Dynamite, while we're talking about, Rampage and all the other Collision, all the other ones that were there. Because if they're going to reference one, they need to reference back to this as well.
I'm interested to see how we continue to progress the storyline, only because Billy is now kind of falling into line, but I'm wondering if it's a ploy, maybe, or if she really is actually trying to be heel with it. Billy is going to have to prove herself later tonight. Also, poor Lexi. Poor Lexi.
Now, I feel like there's a betrayal coming, but where do we think the betrayal is going to come from? Do we think it's going to come from Lexi to Billy, Billy to Lexi, Billy betraying Athena? When you keep including Lexi in, it adds a lot of this intrigue. So I really want to see this build, and I don't want them to rush it.
I wouldn't necessarily call it a betrayal, but I think there's going to come to a point where Athena is going to push Billy to her breaking point, in the sense where Billy's going to not have it anymore. And okay, fantasy booking real quick. I would love to see where Lexi continues to, because in the first half of this whole entire trio, she was succeeding in everything and Billy was kind of struggling. And now that Billy proved herself to Athena by helping her keep her title against Mercedes last week, and Billy's slowly starting to rise in her stock, and Lexi got in trouble because of what happened with Willow, I'm wondering if the turning point where Billy is going to have to like throw out Lexi or something, and Billy's going to be like, no. Or if Athena just snaps and she beats up Lexi, and then Billy's like, no.
Maybe we'll get a custody of Lexi match.
Lexi on a ladder.
Lexi on a pole match. So let's move on from there into what was agreeably the match of the night, which got our friends, your friends, everybody's friends, the Iron Savages, against the Mama's Boys. I know they're not called that, but our lovely colleague Andrew coined that, and I'm running with it because it fits so well for that silly gimmick that Cole Carter has. And this was a good match. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. Mike and I talked a little bit before this, and there were a few spots that the mic picked up. We're going, oh, we're glad they have their own streaming service. But it just made the match that much more fun because there was such humor in it, and it was really well worked.
Oh, absolutely. Like Jesse said, this is my match of the night for a variety of reasons. First and foremost, I mean, I'm repping the tank top for goodness sake here. Like, Iron Savages have become one of my favorite tag teams in Ring of Honor right now. Of course, I gotta support the big boys out here. But lest we forget, too, they are big boys, but they are very strong and agile big boys, which is always a fun combination to see. And as much as I like them, I actually have to give a lot of credit to Cole Carter and Griff Garrison because they actually put on a phenomenal match. And their tag team chemistry is actually getting better? ? Like, I was actually impressed. I was like, whoa, this match served a lot of purposes for me. I got to see Iron Savages. Cole Carter wasn't as annoying as he has been the last couple of weeks.
Because they didn't let him talk.
Exactly. But also, the kind of surprise thing that I really enjoyed is that slowly we're starting to see Griff become more heel because he was acting more heel than I have ever seen him since he's joined with Cole Carter and Maria. Like, that was fun to see.
Yeah, and I mean, he was very resistant when they first started, when they first formed the tag team. But as this team is gelling more and working better together and improving their chemistry, he's starting to pull some of those heel tactics. Like, we had that spot a couple of times where he was, grabbing the arm for leverage for the extra support on that abdominal stretch that they had earlier. And it's very different than what he was with, the Varsity Blondes, and when he came back and he was just trying to be very straight-laced. And I think this is actually really good development for him.
It seems that Maria has kind of is leaning into it now. She's gotten more comfortable with this whole entire gimmick that they're going on. Because one of the highlight spots for me in this match is, first of all, Maria Kanellis is wearing the jacket, and then she slowly takes it off and reveals a bodysuit underneath.
Loved it. Absolutely. I was distracted for the rest of that match as well.
I paused because I was like, Maria, what are we doing? And then what proceeded to happen afterwards,
I like how we paused for different reasons, but okay.
I'm not going to repeat what our Iron Savage said because we'll get demonetized. But what I loved is that this was a distraction enough for Cole Carter, of all people, to flip him onto the ramp. I was like, oh my gosh. I saw the stage shake a little bit.
What was really nice, and which is different than a lot of other promotions are doing right now too, is that we had the distraction in there, but it didn't lead to an immediate match end. It wasn't a distraction finish. It was distraction during the match, but it fit organically and it didn't lead to the end of the match, which was so rare to see in 2023 wrestling that I was celebrating that. And let's talk a little bit more about how the Iron Savages move with the size they are. First off, that riff on the Tower of Power spot where he had the power bomb and cross body that he turned into a slam, fantastic. And then what? Just why? My brain broke. It didn't work for a moment. Watching Beefcake get up and do a second rope moonsault.
That was a beautiful thing to watch. Oh my goodness.
I mean, he missed, but still, he pulled it off.
I really, really enjoyed this match. Again, there was a lot of things that checked my boxes in terms of in-ring storytelling to athleticism. And of course, the Iron Savages, as you said, picking up the win here definitely was a nice little bow at the end of a really fun match. And now I'm just like, can we get Iron Savages and I'll even take Cole Carter and Griff Garrison at this point. Like, right now, these are the two teams I would be put into contention to get those Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships right now, since they've been consistently on our television for the last few weeks. And honestly, I think this match kind of pulled these two teams ahead for me on the ranking of the tag team division in Ring of Honor of who should be challenging for those titles soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me a five teams. We can do 6 to round out as a battle royal because I know one of the teams just had their shot and they lost, which was a decision I don't entirely agree with. However, keep the trios titles on Mogul Embassy because we don't need to have 5 titles on 3 people right now. Give me the Righteous, give me the Workhorsemen, give me the Infantry, give me the 2 tag teams we had tonight,
I mean, the only other tag team we really have is the Infantry, which I actually wouldn't mind seeing, to be honest, too. Or, when Mark Davis comes back, you can also throw Ozzy Open into that mix if you really, really wanted to.
I'd be okay with that. But let's do Shane Taylor Promotions, Productions, whatever one they're going by this week on there, just to add a little bit of edge in there, because I like how Shane Taylor works. Again, fantasy booking, but, all the higher-ups at Ring of Honor, I know you watch us religiously every week, and I love you for that, so thank you. Please give us a listen, see if that works out for you. So we go from our match of the night to a blackout moment for me, because I was so enraged when I saw this happen. I was not happy. Mikey, why don't we have your take on this next promo that there was?
So first and foremost, I was there when it happened. To summarize my feelings, again, I am not upset with Joe. This is not Joe's fault. This is it's the booker's fault. But if you were going to have him break the reign of the previous longest title holder in Jay Lethal, only for him to vacate it made no sense whatsoever. There are two people in Ring of Honor that mixed it up with Joe for that title within the last 2 to 3 months. And you mean to tell me you couldn't have done something with Shane Taylor or Dalton Castle, of all people? Like, these two were recently involved and had a match against Joe the last couple months. They didn't win, but you could have put it on them, or had Dalton Castle or Shane Taylor cost Joe the match, like DQ it. He still could have had it, but then, or I don't know, maybe you could have really given it to Keith Lee too. Like, I would have taken that as well, because Keith Lee's not being used on AEW properly anyways, but that's neither here nor there. But
oh no, it's here, and we're going to talk about that as well.
I have never been more disrespected as a wrestling fan than I did when that vacated title happened. And then we get the announcement that next week, Tony Khan, of all people, is going to give us the update on what we're doing with that title. I'm like, no, it should be Stokely or Jerry or Maria. It should be those three. What?
Yeah, and I'd be willing to bet it's Tony in a video package, not actual Tony.
Tony just needs to stop with the big announcement surprises.
There's a big announcement every week. It's like when everyone call, the boy who cried wolf. Like, at one point, it's just an announcement. It's not a big announcement anymore. My take on it, I'll try and be brief. I didn't like it. I didn't like the decision at all. To me, it felt like the bookers just kind of spread their cheeks apart and dropped fecal matter all over the title. That's what it seemed like. That's what it felt like. I love Joe. Samoa Joe's fantastic. I'm glad he's able to keep his name, because I thought when he came over to AEW after WWE, he's going to be Fiji Joseph, but neither here nor there. I love him as a performer. He is fantastic on the mic. I don't hold him accountable for this. The bookers, what are you doing? Why are we doing this? What's the point? You don't have titles on Ring of Honor to begin with, so you're really devaluing them there. And then you pull a stunt like this. Why did Keith Lee have to lose? You have Keith Lee win that title. You use it as a stepping stone to insert him into the Ring of Honor world title scene and have him go against Eddie Kingston or whomever else is up there. Then you have that TV title do an open, push Dalton Castle because he is so over, and you're going to tell me that if you have Keith Lee as your champion, your world champion, Dalton Castle as your TV title champion, and Athena as your women's champion, and you're not going to pull ratings then? That's just foolish. You can do better. So we'll move on from there into a match that I thought was, again, another very good, very serviceable match between Rachel Ellering, who I'm growing to enjoy more and more, the queen of strong smile, against Billy Starks. And I was very happy to see Billy Starks back in colored gear and not the all blacks that she had before, when she was kind of that demure, depressed moment that she was having. Was very happy to see that, as me feeling like I need to be protective of her.
Absolutely. I also love the fact that Billy was in colors again. She went from falling into the Hot Topic bin and walking out, and then and on the way to her car, she found a Spencer's and fell into that and came back all colorful. We'd love to see it. This was a really, really fun match as well. Billy being a little more aggressive than we have seen her in the last couple of weeks, which is nice storytelling wise, because now that she's kind of embracing Athena's style of just being a wrestler, period, was nice to see. But I also appreciated that post-match, there was still some hesitation as they were beating up Rachel after the match.
And then, as we have the beating up after the match, which before we get to that, I want to talk about Billy Stark spinning heel kick, absolutely beautiful. That needs to be her finish. I know it's the same as the Black Mass for Malachi Black. Different promotions, same banner company. I don't care. That needs to be your finish. And speaking of banners, this is a very hard segue that I pull here. Can we stop with the banners mid-match? It's distracting. They're too big. I understand you're advertising for pay-per-views or big events coming. That's important. I get that. Do it before the action starts. Do it at the end of the match. Stop putting it in the middle of the match because then you're causing us not to be able to see the actual performance that we're there to watch.
I know they're trying. I know, guys, Ian and Caprice. I know you guys are trying to sell Final Battle, which is in a couple of weeks. But man, I'm like, you can't. They put it in a weird spot.
Back to the ending of the match. I was very happy with this, thrilled with this, if you will, because we have, here's the word of the day, Mike, continuity and story development. So important to this programming. I was so happy to have it. And Layla had the exact expression I thought she would when it was over. And that was it. Nothing was said. Nothing needed to be said because we got to that later in the night. But it worked. It served its purpose and it worked well because, again, continuity. We like continuity. We want to follow that.
Layla coming out for Rachel was great too. And we'll get to their backstage segment because I don't want to spoil anything directly because after this, then we get... This was definitely the squash match.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind. Josh Woods versus SK Bishop. Continuing to give Josh wins, which I appreciate. I do hope that sooner or later, Katsuyori Shibata will be making an appearance. I'm like, we know Josh is going after that pure championship, but let's get our actual champion back on Ring of Honor television. So
let's do that because I also want that to be the build for the pay-per-view at the end of the year. It was a good match for a squash. It was quick. That forearm shot that SK Bishop took, ow. Like, I'm pretty sure that was too tight and rocked his jaw a bit. But that was it. That's Josh Woods being Josh Woods, and that, that's it. Simple as that. And then we're going to move on to my favorite multi-man tag matches again. An 8-piece this time, so the Colonel will be happy about that. We've got the Infantry, Action Andretti, and one of the Martins against the Wingmen, Lee Moriarty and Shane Taylor. It was weird. Like, I don't have any other kind of nice and poetic way to say it.
We've seen this before is essentially the nicest way to put it.
Yeah, Carly Bravo, great, fun to watch. I love when the mic picks him up because he's very captivating. But that's it. That's where it ends. The ending was weird. It didn't serve a purpose. Why are we doing this? Why did we have to sacrifice Pretty Peter Avalon and make him take the pin? Justice for Peter Avalon. Justice for Ring of Honor. Justice for the tag division. Stop doing this.
Yeah, the ending was really, really weird. I'm sad that Pretty Peter Avalon had to take the pin because the Wingmen have been on a constant losing streak right now. It made no sense for Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty to just up and walk out. Like, the reasoning was very thin.
I think Riccaboni even said, they just took their ball and went home. I didn't think you could do that. Neither did I. What was the point of that?
Ian was caught off guard just like we were. I'm happy to see the Infantry win, but I need Darius, Action, and Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty to kind of stop being thrown together.
Go away.
Let them do other things, you guys, because we've been getting the same iteration of this the last month or so, and we need to spice it up a little bit. Like, let's
do a cross-promotion trade. Put Darius Martin and Action Andretti, send them over to AEW, give us Keith Lee, let's build up our championship division.
I've given up on Shane versus Keith. I don't know when that's happening. It is what it is. But
we move on from that to my favorite word of the night, continuity, with the promo between Rachel Ellering, where legit Layla Hirsch came in, and I thought it was good. I thought it gave sound reasoning, but it let the story progress a little bit more, and it's not like that was the end of it. It's going to keep going, which is what I want to see. I'm very happy with that.
This is where Layla says that she only saved Rachel, not because they're friends, but because she doesn't like to owe debts to other people, so now they're even. And then Maria comes walking in, and Layla's legit, see what I did there, is trying to explain to Maria, like, it's not what it looks like, we're not friends. And Maria's like, oh no, you and Rachel are gonna tag, and then I will decide if I'm going to help you or not. So Layla and Rachel are going to be doing a tag team match next week, which I'm here for.
That makes me think, does Maria get to call what matches are on the card? Because, I'd have a few suggestions. I didn't know she made those decisions.
Well, I feel like she would, because Maria is in charge of the women's division. So, yeah, she probably has some sort.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And after that, good promo, and good backstage segment, we're going to move on to, I'm sorry, Mikey, you might disagree with me, a match that I felt was very mediocre. I know it could have been so good, and I wanted to be so much better, but we have Gravity versus Dralistico, and aside from the ending, which was that corkscrew spinning destroyer, which was amazing, the match didn't do it for me. I know where these two can perform. It was underwhelming for me.
I actually agree with you here. And it sucks too, because Dralistico is great, but we just came off of Gravity having a really fun match last week when he teamed up with Dalton and the boys.
And I was talking about it, the announcers did during the match.
I was just like, he came out with the boys, he dressed up as one of them, he got thrown like a boy, and he wanted to. That was a lot of fun. And at first I was like, oh, this should be a good match. And then outside of the ending move, which was awesome to watch, I felt this was underwhelming, even for both of them. It seemed like they didn't click during this match. They had an off day, and it sucked, because this could have been so much better. I didn't think it was inherently bad, but it was all right. And I agree with you. Knowing where both Gravity and Dralistico can be individually, I feel like this could have been better.
Gravity impresses me every week I see him, and he's gotten better every single week. He didn't do it for me this week. I was disappointed. I didn't see it. I didn't see any improvement. I didn't see any getting better. It existed. It was adequate. It filled the void. It filled the time. But I wouldn't go back and watch it again.
No. And again, this wasn't a train wreck, but this was not my... Actually, no, I take that back. The 8-man was not my favorite match. This was the second not my favorite match, so this was the place above it.
Interesting. Okay, well, I've got a hot take coming up next, which is one of not my favorite matches. We have our main event with Angelico versus Eddie Kingston for the title. It lacked any proper build. I thought this would have gone to the pay-per-view at the end of the year, which it didn't. We got to the winner we expected, because that's not a title that they're going to clearly change on weekly programming. Where do we go from here? The match itself was serviceable. It was adequate. But where do we go from here? Angelico had that build for himself, for his character, but not for this feud. This feud got no build, and we're just, hey, we're going to give it to you on a random Thursday in the beginning of November. Here you go. Now what?
Yeah.
Now what do we do? Where do we do to build this title? How do we build the prestige? Who's the next in line?
Well, we know who the next in line is, but that's not even a pay-per-view feud build. I really don't know who Eddie is going to be facing at Final Battle. I don't get it. And again,
what scares me about that?
Yeah,
Eddie doesn't know either.
I don't know. Booking decisions have been a weird thing the last couple of weeks, but back to the point I was making. Again, I figured Eddie was going to win. I love Angelico, but I was like, he's not going to win. And again, I say this every single time. It hurts when you're building towards a title match if your champion is not there to do something. But it doesn't need to be a match. It could have been a series of vignettes and promos like Angelico has been doing. And Eddie didn't do anything like that leading into this championship match. And really, there was no real explanation as to why Eddie wasn't there to do anything. I don't know, man. I also feel that, again, I'm not expecting Eddie to go throw himself all over the place, because that's not the style of wrestler he is. He's more of the big bruiser type. But I think what didn't click with me during this match is, I don't know if you felt the same way, but I felt like Angelico was more subdued than he normally is during this match, because I was like, Angelico, I know you can do different things, and I know you can try all these things, but I feel like you cut 50% of your moveset, and I don't know why.
I didn't see any of his creative submissions. I didn't see any creative counters. I didn't see him able to slip away like he's been able to do everybody else when he's taking damage like that. To me, it looked like this was their first time they've wrestled together, which I don't know both of their histories extensively. I'm sure they've come across and crossed paths prior, but this looked like the first time that they did it for the big time, and they lacked any kind of chemistry. They didn't work well together. And usually that style can work together. The Bruiser's out muscling, out striking. Someone who's got that, I forget the name of the style of wrestling that Angelico does, but it's much more counter based and body weight changing and those creative submissions he comes up with. Usually that can work. It didn't here. It seemed like they were this seemed like a get to know each other match rather than a title match that they needed.
Yeah, again, the build to this was lackluster. I felt like Angelico was subdued here. And I also feel that Eddie could have done more too, because I know Eddie can go all out, and he didn't really do that either. So this was a serviceable match to an outcome that we already saw coming from a mile away. Eddie Kingston retains the title. Him and Angelico shake hands afterwards, and I was just like, I'm like, this could have been so much more better. Like, I wouldn't have mind if we didn't even make it to the pay-per-view with this match, but Eddie should have been involved in the build to this, but he really wasn't there.
I just want to know where we go from here, because this title feels listless. It feels like it's almost vacant on the program because Eddie's not there.
Listen, at least it's being defended because Claudio set the bar really, really low. Really low. So I'm like, so far Eddie has kind of been doing better than Claudio, but not by much. And then let's just couple the ending of this too, because we get first of all, I love Dalton Castle anytime he's on my television screen.
Oh, so agreed 100%. As frustrated I was with this match, this main event that had zero build and all the other complaints I had about it, I was so happy with the ending of the program. Mikey, please take it from here.
So Dalton Castle is backstage, and again, he gives us this fiery promo where he says, I'm here to entertain. I'm here to give the people who are watching through the television screen what they want. And you, Eddie, are boring. It's like you're giving us boringness, the same blandness. I was just like, and I need to take that title off you in order to give the people what they want and to entertain everyone. So next week, me and you will be facing off for that Ring of Honor World Championship. And that's how the program went off. And I was of two minds of this. One, I'm extremely happy because Dalton Castle will be wrestling for that title against Eddie Kingston, which I hope is a lot better than what we got tonight. My issue is, though, is that we're getting a title match with only a week's build, and Dalton Castle's going to lose. And it makes me sad. Now, if they swerve and give it to him, I would actually yell at my screen.
Well, we had about as much build as we had for the title match tonight.
Fair.
That's to be the devil's advocate there. I was very happy about this. Dalton Castle came on my screen, and I thought it was over because the main event was done. And I was very happy. I was very excited. Dalton Castle's here. I need to pay attention to everything he says. I like this. And you know what? If the match, what I could see, if this were me, if I were booking, which... terrible idea. If I were booking this, I would have this match, Eddie winning and retaining, but I need a dusty finish. This gives us time to build to the pay-per-view at the end of the year where we pull the trigger on Dalton Castle as the world champion going into next year. Start fresh, start new in that division. So that's what I think we should do. Does that mean we're going to do it? I don't know. Again, all the higher-ups and bigwigs at ROH who watch our programming clearly, give it a thought. Let me know. I will take 0% royalties, 100% credit, please. Thank you.
Listen, the bros over here, the four of us, would be happy to book Ring of Honor for a week or two. Just give us a call, you guys.
And with that wraps up our night. That was our week of Ring of Honor. We kind of went through this pretty quickly tonight, didn't we, Mikey?
Yeah, because it's just the two of us, but it was a great time. And honestly, there wasn't really too much to rant about outside of the things that we were frustrated with, because overall, everything ran smoothly, though there were a couple of things that I would have changed. But since we're talking about it, let's just go into our final ratings. I'm gonna give this a 7.2 out of 10, which is not necessarily a bad score. Again, I think for the most part, everything flowed well. The only real issues I had, there was a lot of fun moments though, for sure. Tony Nese and Serpentico and the Ethan Page thing was actually pretty good. I loved it so much. Again, Tony versus Ethan is going to be a lot of fun. Give me more Iron Savages wins on Ring of Honor and push them. Honestly, even if it's for like a month or two, have them win those tag titles in some capacity and just let them hold them, because I think it'd be great. Kyle Fletcher and Lee Johnston actually put on a banger tonight, which was actually pretty good. But again, can we stop doing these 8-man tags with the people that are being thrown together all the time? And can we please listen? I know you have more luchadors than what we have in Ring of Honor. Like, I don't know. I just give me more luchadors, or maybe if you're gonna put it there, like put it in the first half of the show, not towards the end, because that didn't really help my mood when we got to the main event. And just let Eddie Kingston go all out. Let him be the brawler, the New York brawler that we know him to be. But I think next week's championship match, I definitely think, because Dalton Castle is very innovative, and I hope he doesn't pull no punches tonight. But 7.2 out of 10 for me tonight.
I'm with you there. Most of those points I've already echoed. I'm at 4 1/4 empanadas, same rating as last week. Again, I had fun. I thought it was a good program. Were there a few things that would have changed it? Absolutely. That's going to happen every week. That's why we do this. They're cathartic. But all the good points made me, enjoy watching it, and I wanted to continue watching it. It went quick. It was 2 hours, but it wasn't 2 hours of slog. The matches flowed well. The backstage promos went well. You didn't have Cole Carter talk, which really worked well, because I'm not super agitated about him and his appearance on here. And he works really well in the ring. Stop forcing him to talk and do promos and cut this weird shtick he does with Maria. Let him find his character work off of TV first. Focus on his in-ring work, because he's excellent with that. Aside from that and the 8-man tag match, I was very happy. And though I'm thinking if they force us to keep watching these 8-man tags, forcing 2 tag teams together into 4, we need to start creating fun names for them. Like, I would like to see Righteously Savage. That would be a great tag match for me to watch.
Man, I can't. But honestly, that'd be a lot of fun too. But Jesse, even though it's just me and you for this week, I don't tell the other co-hosts, but I think this was a lot of fun.
I had a blast. Thank you for joining me.
Of course. And as always, if you enjoyed this review, you can check out the other Ring of Honor reviews, as well as pretty much every other wrestling show that we cover here on the Bi-Conic Wrestling YouTube channel, because we pretty much cover everything. You can follow us all over the social medias at bcwrestlepod to stay up to date when said reviews go live. Some out-of-context clips. The ones that we dropped today were a hoot to make, so that was a lot of fun. And if you think that we're unhinged here, go subscribe to the actual Bi-Conic Wrestling podcast, where we're 10 times more unhinged. And I'm just trying to prepare everyone right now, because come December, it's about to get ugly, because it's going to be the end of the year episode where we fight on who is the best women's pay-per-view, worst of the year, all that good stuff.
It's going to be a busy month, but it's going to be fun.
It is. And unfortunately, we forgot to do this at the beginning, but Jesse, the code of honor to end the review. Appreciate it, my friend.
We'll do it twice. There was the intro. Now we'll do the outro one.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, very good.
It was so nice.
If I could kind of channel my inner JVL here, on behalf of myself, on behalf of the absent Andrew and John, the absent, no, you're here, Mikey. Thank you for joining us tonight. And remember, you're Bi-Conic. We're all Bi-Conic. Follow us on the socials. Talk to us, please. We would like to interact with you on any matter. Send us a comment. Find us on Instagram. Send us a message. We'd love to talk with you about any of this. And after that, everybody, have a wonderful evening.